4 days ago, the world awoke to the shocking headline that American activist Charlie Kirk had been shot dead, a tragedy that sent shockwaves through every corner of social media and left millions searching for answers in the silence that followed. The news broke like a sudden storm, first whispers, then breaking alerts, then endless live streams showing candlelit vigils from Phoenix to Paris, where strangers held up photos of a man many had never met but somehow felt they knew. Streets filled with mourners. Commentators scrambled to interpret the meaning of his life and death, and politicians across the spectrum issued statements of grief that sounded rehearsed but carried an unmistakable undertone of genuine disbelief. For days, the world seemed to spin slower, each sunrise feeling heavier than the one before. Yet amid all the tributes, eulogies, and carefully crafted speeches, no one anticipated the voice that would rise from the heart of West Africa. A voice belonging to a leader few outside his continent expected to speak, let alone in such a powerful way. Ibrahim Traoré, the young president of Burkina Faso's transitional government, was already known in certain circles for his fiery words on sovereignty and courage. But when he announced that he would deliver a special tribute to Kirk, the international press barely paid attention. After all, what connection could there be between a conservative American commentator and a revolutionary African soldier-turned-leader? And yet, when the cameras switched on in Ouagadougou and Traoré stepped to the podium, beneath the blazing Sahel sun, something extraordinary unfolded. He began not with politics or condolences, but with a story of youth, of restless nights spent wondering if one person could awaken a sleeping nation, of the loneliness that comes with refusing to bow to pressure. In his deep, steady voice, he described how Kirk's relentless insistence on speaking, even when mocked or misunderstood, mirrored the struggles of young Africans who dream of freedom in lands too often silenced by fear. He spoke of courage not as the absence of danger, but as the refusal to let danger dictate the soul's mission. His words rolled like thunder across languages and borders. When a young man dares to speak, he lights a fire that no bullet can extinguish. Charlie Kirk's fire does not belong to America alone. It belongs to every young person who refuses to wait for permission to dream. Reporters, who had come expecting a polite, diplomatic statement, found themselves scribbling furiously, trying to capture the poetry of a soldier who sounded more like a prophet. Clips of the speech exploded across platforms within minutes, translated into dozens of languages, shared with captions like "The Tribute no one saw coming," and "Africa speaks to America's grief." But what no one predicted was the reaction. Thousands of miles away at Mar-a-Lago, where former U.S. President Donald Trump was reportedly watching the broadcast with a small group of aides. According to those present, Trump remained uncharacteristically silent throughout the entire address, his hands clasped, eyes fixed on the screen as if the words were chiseling themselves into his mind. When the speech ended and the room fell quiet, witnesses say he stood slowly, face unreadable, and simply whispered, "That was powerful." Hours later, Trump released a statement that stunned even his closest allies. Gone were the usual sharp edges and combative phrases. Instead, he praised Traoré's remarkable tribute and called on young Americans to find the courage that unites all free people. From Arizona to Ouagadougou, social media erupted. Commentators from CNN to small independent podcasts replayed the clip of Trump's unusually humble tone, dissecting every word as if decoding a secret message. Supporters celebrated what they called a rare moment of shared humanity, while critics speculated that the shock of Kirk's death had cracked open a softer side of the famously brash leader. But beyond the political chatter, something deeper was happening. Across continents, ordinary people began to connect dots that politics usually keeps apart. African youth groups posted videos quoting Kirk and Traoré side by side. American students shared clips of Burkina, music layered with Trump's quiet statement, creating a viral soundtrack of unexpected unity. Comment sections that usually overflowed, with insults now filled with reflections on courage, mortality, and the strange way tragedy can build bridges that diplomacy never could. For days, the world buzzed with this improbable triangle: an American activist gone too soon, a West African soldier president speaking across oceans, and a former U.S. president reacting with an almost reverent silence. And in that buzzing, many found a lesson they hadn't realized they were searching for: that the human spirit, when faced with loss, reaches instinctively for connection, even with strangers separated by culture, language, and history. The story became less about politics and more about possibility. Teachers wove it into classrooms to spark discussions on youth leadership. Churches and mosques alike quoted Traoré's line about a fire no bullet can extinguish. Parents told their children about a world where a voice from Africa could move a man in Florida to reconsider the power of humility. Whether one agreed or disagreed with Kirk's politics no longer mattered. What mattered was the undeniable truth that even in death, a single life can ignite conversations that redraw the map of empathy. And as the sunsets continued, as vigils dimmed and headlines shifted to the next crisis, echoes of that day lingered like a soft drumbeat. Courage speaks every language. Grief recognizes no border, and sometimes the most unexpected voices carry the message the world most needs to hear. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe.